Hello and welcome everyone to today's workshop. My name is Peter O'Neill. We're going to give it a couple more minutes before we actually start properly, but I'll get my screen going now though. Move that out of the way. I'm going to try sharing my screen again to get it in the right way, so it actually shares the entire screen rather than the window. That's better. There we go. Hey George, how you doing? Always good to have you here joining every week. All right, looking to be very low numbers this week. That is what it is. I'm going to ask a question at the end of this session, but quite likely I'm looking to move this to becoming a fortnightly or monthly workshop. I think with more notice, more people will sign up, and hopefully by being less often, it gets a bit more attention and followers coming along to join it. I do appreciate all of your company. It's still worth doing from all of you, but let's get a few more numbers on board as well. To introduce myself, I think I probably know most or all of you from these sessions, or you know who I am at least. My name is Peter O'Neill. G'day, that's the Australian aspect. I am an Australian, I was in London for 16 years. I'm now in the Netherlands in Haarlem, which is really nice and decent weather today. I work in digital analytics, been doing that for the past 15 years. I had my own agency, L3 Analytics, that started in 2010. Merged to become Leap 3 in 2016. And I then sold that agency to IEMA, who's a digital marketing agency, 2018. Exiting last year, as it was time for a break, my son was born, COVID kicked in, just time to take a bit of time out. I'm also the founder of MeasureCamp, the Digital Analytics Unconference, which is held around the world virtually right now. We have MeasureCamp Europe last Saturday, which is a big success with about 280 people turning up. And I'm now back freelancing as a data strategy director under the banner of ZHS Orchards, which is where we are now. These workshops, I'm trying to see how it goes, sharing my ideas with people via these sort of webinars as opposed to writing blog posts. I'm not quite sure if I can put my ideas down to a formal course. So trying this instead. They're meant to be about 45-minute sessions. I want to speak for 20 to 30 minutes of that. The more questions you can ask, the better at any point. I try and answer as we go, or Sal talk about it a bit later on. So feel free to ask questions. If possible, I mean, you can ask questions in the general chat, but also feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section. I can pick them up easier there. Also, you've got the option of raising your hand as a participant, and I can bring you up on stage. You can ask the question a bit more face-to-face. That also helps as well. The sessions are meant to be practical. I've been told one person's looking to create their own website visualization themselves for their own website. And so for that, I can say it's like, ask as many questions as possible. The more I can share, the more you win out, the more I win out, the better it is for everyone. So feel free to ask questions throughout. And those simple, stupid questions that you think everyone else knows the answer to are the best questions to ask. It's a question everyone wants to know the answer to, but no one dares ask it. So please ask those questions. And the whole point here is to share my knowledge with everyone else. I love getting feedback. I love putting my ideas out there to see what the feedback's like. If people agree or disagree with me, it's how I get better. And of course, I'm a freelancer, so lead generation. If following this, anyone wants some help creating their own website visualization, happy to be involved at a cost, of course, but please spread the word around for that. So, getting into this, the background behind this website visualization. Grab my hair longer for the first time. I was trying to deal with it. It's annoying at times, but I'm coping. Anyway, this was actually the first workshop I ran just 1.5 months ago on creating website visualization maps. As a tool I've used for a long time myself, I find a really practical way of understanding how a website is structured, how to do analytics around it, why people are behaving as they are. This was the very first workshop. And in that workshop, I showed 2 visualizations. This one here was the example for a random generic e-commerce website. And you can see it the way it consists. You've got the boxes, which represent pages or page nodes. Some pages, which are more key pages, have individual boxes for them, like the home page, the forgot password pages, every page in the checkout process. Whereas other pages are seen as page nodes, they're grouped together. So all the product pages, whether there's 5 products or 5 million products, have a single box under product details. The department pages are grouped together. The search results, again, there's almost an infinite number of search results pages, all grouped together as one box. And there's lines between the boxes to show the customer paths. Now, this is not every possible navigation option, but you can travel from the navigation menu and from the footer to most pages on the website, or all the key pages on the website. We don't want to show that massive lines spreading everywhere. It just gets too messy. You can't see what's going on. And so instead we put down what we think are the expected or the most likely or common visitor paths. It's then interesting to see if you actually correct with that beliefs or not. That's one of the value points behind creating these website visualizations. So these are the lines here that show what the path would look like. And the point is with this, to create a story really, a story to tell what the website's structured like and how people should use it. And you've got to a place where you've created a good visualization when you can sit and go, I get it. I see what's going on. I can see how this works. The first few attempts that I create are usually too crowded, too much detail there. It doesn't look simple. It needs to be simplified down to a point we can go, it's recognizable. I did at this time in this workshop give a detailed run through with one very simple example of my own ZHS Orchards website. And I showed step by step how this was created. This is all on the blog post for this workshop. The deck for it, there was no recording. But if you want to refresh or to see it for the first time, go back and go through that deck. But from that, I made the challenge going, I'm happy to create a website visualization, a more detailed example. I mean, this is nice, but it's so small, it seems simple. What's it look like for a bigger website? I have to do it for free. No one took me up on it, which is a bit frustrating, weird. It's value there, I would have thought. But eventually, a gent, are you actually online today or not? Let me quickly look at participants. No, not here. Gave me the challenge, asked the question, how complex exactly could this website be? Wait, cool. Tell me what you've got. And so his consultant asked for his client the Volkswagen website in Belgium with 3 different domains there, or 4 different domains he mentioned, going, is this okay? Well, let me have a look at it. Can I access some data as well? And we went, cool, let's take this on board. And that's the quick homepage part of the website. One early challenge, the website's in Dutch or in English, or so Dutch or in French, not English. Google Translate became my friend throughout the entire experience to make this understandable. So today I want to talk through the process I went through, what I built from this. I mean, here's the result. And comparing that against this, you can see I achieved what I wanted to do. I created a very complicated website, website visualization, very detailed. I'll talk through the colors, the structure in a minute. If you want to copy this for yourself, let me just share in the chat. You can see the image there. Feel free to download it and get it up on your screen as a bigger picture. I'll be talking through various elements of it. So here we go. The process I used to actually create this. And I mean, the simple way of doing it to start off with is just to start following the rabbit holes. Get your paper and pencil out and start writing down pages and drawing out lines. That's how I started every time. And this here actually was the first copy I did. As you can see, paper and pencil, and started scribbling down how the website worked. I put the homepage at the top and started marking down the next sort of stage from the navigation. And then the key sections through the models, the cars, I started following through how it worked and the different sections, and got to hear a model configuration page, and I can see lots of actions coming off, and I went, this actually is pretty complex. So that's what I learned from this first experience. A vague idea of the website very quickly, that it is a complex website. On the key pages, like the model configuration page, there's multiple conversion actions happening, which I need to represent in some way. As I turn my phone off. These conversion actions were actually conversion flows, not just a click to take an action, but clicking to go into an entire process. Those processes, like a checkout process, then you mapped out in detail. I discovered in the menu that actually there's multiple layers to the menu. As you can see on the website, let's get back to the home page. First of all, you've got a menu, and you've also got multiple layers. Here's a top-level layer of the menu, and then within that, you get more sub-menus. And at times, you can even get sub-menus. So that was also complicated. How to show that in the visualization was an important question for me. And one part I thought going, well, this is going to get really long here. It actually might make more sense if I flip the entire thing sideways, because it goes long, but it goes deeper and deeper and deeper here. So attempt 2, still paper and pencil. But this time, homepage on the far left, and here's the menu items. And I had changed halfway through. You can see circles here. That's to show to me it's a menu item, not a page itself. It's a different shape for these. This actually does feel better. This flow going left to right, things make a bit more sense. At times, different shape as well for third-party websites. If they don't fit in with it, different shape, this diamond shape. And the conversion process flows. I can see up here a key page and a key page. These two are running in parallel with the same name actually. Can go back and forth. But they both had a whole set of different process flows coming off them. And each of those mapped out in detail and a lot more space for this. So rather than trying to put more detail on the paper, I gave up on it and moved across differently to the tool I use called Glyphy to create it online. I realized as well, a very big language barrier was here. And this language barrier wasn't just French, Dutch versus English. I had to make sure I was using the right language to describe the website, because the people reading it have their own internal jargon. And if you don't use that jargon, the whole thing doesn't make sense. Okay, well, what is that page? The whole point of the visualization is that anyone in the business should be able to look and go, I get how the website works. I can see what that page is, that page is, that page is. It all fits together. And looking here, this are the, so that I'm not great with cars, but I know before I used to work at motors.co.uk, the make of the car here is the Volkswagen, as opposed to the BMW. So there's the same make across all the cars here for the Volkswagen website. The models then are this level here. Now these cars may look the exact same sort of structure, just 4 boxes, 4 boxes, 4 names, 4 names, but these are the models. These are different types of the up model. So what are these called internally? I had to overcome that language barrier to make sure I'm using the right definition within this map so it made sense to the end users. And the answer was just call them model variants. That will do. Okay, cool. And the process then, I was doing it properly. I got Glyphy out as my online tool. I was still following down the holes, but this time a lot more methodically, one by one by one. Grid lines out there and get the little shovel and pan out and go through very carefully every different menu option and map out all the actions from there. That's what it comes down to. This is a lengthy process. I say lengthy. I managed to create. It took me 1 day to create that visualization. Well, that's 1 day and 10 years of practice to get to that point where I can do it within 1 day. And it wasn't quite finished. I mean, there's a lot of detail there missing out. We'll probably take 2 days to get the detail mapped out as well. But you can go very methodical with this. It does take time. Now, it's still there mapping through the website itself, going through the different menu items and going down through page by page by page. Also, at the same time, you want to use your web or app analytics data to do this as well. One use of that is to get a list of all your pages on the website and to make sure each and every one of those pages appear in the visualization map. If it doesn't appear, you have to add a new box. Best way of doing that is an export into Excel and to sort it alphabetically. Look for similar pages. So you can look for one box on the website, on the visualization, but go through it literally one by one by one. Also with this report, look for groups of similarly named pages and they become your page names, the page nodes. Hopefully all your product pages have a similar name in some or similar structure in some way. Navigation reports are also very useful. The navigation summary in Google Analytics, even the visitor flow reports. It means you can trace through different paths, different process flows, as you'll see what I've created as the output picture, without having to log in, without having to complete a lot of forms. Very useful on insurance websites, for example. An entire process becomes much, much easier if you have user-friendly page names in place. I just mentioned the cross-reference part. Here's a quick snapshot of it. One of the subdomains, the stock.volkswagen.be section. And I actually discovered through this, there was this actual type of page grouping of a subset of a group of cars, which I wasn't aware of. I was actually not quite sure how to get to these pages, but I'm close enough in the visualization through finding in this list of all pages. But the final version, let's actually have a look at it. I'm going to get the website open as well and have a bigger version of this. Side by side, you can see the process I took to create this visualization. After that, I'm going to talk to some of the learnings I actually took from the visualization. But to mention, I've got this visualization map hidden in here as well. Reason for that is that there's different domains in place and subdomains. And so they're color-coded. The blue ones is the offers page. Blank is the www page. There's a couple of different domains here in green and in yellow. But that actually helps understand how the website is structured. I've also used some different shapes at times. Pop-ups, side overlay. There's a section here, which we'll look at in more detail in a minute, where I've used for a side overlay the fact that you're on this page here, and you click, and you actually have this overlay appear to go through some other pages within the side overlay. I want to represent that differently. And right now, that's not tracking the analytics. It's not new pages. But to me, appearing here, I want to track this as pages as well. So that's the bare bones there. So let's actually have a look at this. Here's a visualization. Oops, let me go across. Like I said from the chat, the URL's there. Please download it yourself if that makes it easier, and zoom in, zoom out as you need to. But from the home page, you have the models configuration section. So up here, let me translate to English. Model configuration. Now, I could swear this line was not there previously, this feature compare your models. The visualization has become a living document. As new website sections get added in or removed, new pages added or removed, the visualization map should get added to or adjusted as well. I also mentioned this later on. I didn't actually finish the map off. There's sections like this. These links here were not included and should be added in. But the first line, discover our models. What we're seeing here is the models and configuration, clicking through to the model list showroom. And I'm calling the model list showroom versus model list configuration because that's the path it's following here. You can click from this page here through to the model variant list or the model variant details. That would be a show all variants or a find out more button. Clicking on show all variants shows more variants here. Actually going for a different one, because we bought a second-hand Golf recently. And so this now we're on the model variant list. Again, I'm calling it showroom to the configuration. Reason for that, if we look at the same process here, eventually, through this, configure your Volkswagen, and you've got what appears to be the exact same page. And I select the Golf, and this are pretty much the same page, apart from the next action that comes off this. Built into me to basically say they're both a model variant list, showroom configuration version. But from here, I can now go to view more, set the Golf active. And this is one of the many. So there's many model variants. All the page node. The showroom, the details page basically for the showroom. And it's got details in this. And I could add the fact you have actions off here to expand tabs. Haven't done this in here. You can go back to the showroom. There's a link here somewhere for that, down the bottom, I think. But the key actions are down here. Booking your test drive, making an appointment with a dealer, offers for individuals, clicking through the catalogue and price list, discovering all Volkswagen models. So I'm trying to show off the fact that you can go back to seeing all the models there. You can click through for a test drive or to contact a dealer. You can go back to the offers or the catalogue page. Now, that line for the offers should go all the way down to, I think, this page here, I think it is. But it would have got too messy. So I'm trying to trick it just to show it's gone to the offers page, but not to bring in all the detail of the line to reduce the amount of mess happening. I think I actually missed the catalogue page off this visualization map, to be honest. So that's actually missing from the entire piece. And there are more actions that come off this. I've missed here the fact that you can configure right now. So that page, actually, no, I have got that, goes down to the model variant configuration tool. There could be as well certain, on some of these pages, different actions. This one here goes to the offers page. Oh, that's actually there still, so that's good. Hard capture everything, but again, that's a detail of this if you really want to get into it. And that's what it takes so long to actually do. But so let's look at the process for one of the key actions. Booking a test drive. You book now. Open up a new tab. Different domain here. Different color scheme here. That makes sense. This is the free test drive page. You can view other models and then select a model up there. You can go straight through to selecting a dealer. So on this page here right now, these are actions being taken here. Select a dealer. Select a dealer. Contact information is here. And now this working time consuming. A lot of dummy details get entered in here. The classic test@test.com. Note of that. Apologies to Volkswagen Belgium for the number of fake orders I sent through, a fake request for a test order. And I'm on the confirmation page. Request received. You can back the offers, back the model list configuration. And repeat again and again and again. And that's the process to go through multiple times. Go to the configuration section, go through the process. What happens when I hit configure? I hit this configure page. All right, it's that configuration selector. I select the car to configure. It goes blank. There's a slight bug here. Take off the translation option. Refresh page. That should have worked. It didn't. Got there eventually, put it back into English. And again, a whole set of actually actions that can happen on this page here. Requesting a trial, a test drive again. You can actually change the configuration options. And here's that site overlay. Now this is the site overlay I've got here as this engine stage X, multiple stages potentially, optional equipment, and back the configuration tool. I select that, it's through to colors. And the actual configuration options, this is different for every different model variant. And so I couldn't put down an exact path here because it varies, but it's showing the fact that there is engine, optional equipment, stages in between, make sure it's being mapped out. You can also access any of these ones individually. So this can get complicated. And trying to show the story here, actually what's going on. Is that all making sense to people? Again, like I said, any questions, please put them in the Q&A or raise your hand and we can discuss this. And please ask the most simple questions because that's what everyone wants to know. But seeing here, request a trial. So then on the test drive option. But this time, that page, it's not on the cloud.mail, it's on the forms CCF page. Although it looks kind of similar to select a dealer, complete your form, get a thank you page. So that one here, go through, request a trial, request trial to select dealer, request trial, enter details, and thank you. Kind of a similar process, different color, different domain, different way of getting there. And that process gets repeated again and again and again, going through the different pages. Down here, what are these pages? Information pages. Okay, what are the actions off that page or on the page? How do I map that out? And keep on going. Okay, conscious of the time, does anyone want to see any more examples of that? I can show the parts of the website. If it needs to go, well, what's that part mean? How do you access this? What's happening here? Before I go into the use cases from this visualization map. Any requests? All right. Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
I have a question about visualizing connections between the individual pages. That is, if you found a way to have weighted connections, because we found that some paths in the website are more important to us than others, and we are looking for a way to get this into a visual chart.
Now, really good question. In this visualization map, I don't weight the lines at all. I do try and highlight key parts of the website, whether they're in a more prominent position, up the top, or in the center, or to one sort of side, possibly by making them a bigger size, and maybe even the border around the page a thicker line. The lines themselves I don't usually weight up though, because they're right in a way almost hypothetical. You would see, I mean, that line there looks thicker because there's multiple lines there. It's how Glyphy was worked. It's not deliberate at all.
Yeah.
If I was then to go through this and add numbers in and to show the number of people traveling along each path. That's when I want to make lines thicker or a darker shade of a certain color to show this is a much more popular path going through at that point. So I do it when I've got numbers to add in, but at this stage when it's purely, in a way, hypothetical, I'd keep it as simple and as clean as possible, because don't try and put your beliefs, your assumptions on the relative importance onto this without proving that first. And the proving of it is once the analysis step, keep it simple first, next stage, then add that in.
Okay, thank you.
Make sense? Brilliant.
Makes sense, yes.
Anyone else with any other questions? Not at this stage, no. Okay then, how to use this? I mean, looking at it, I had some ideas for immediate changes to the website first of all. So I've got this grouped out. Immediate changes to the website I would make based on just looking at the mapping. 2 is change the tracking. I'm an analyst after all, I want to track different things and better things. And 3, changes to the website which could happen post doing analysis. So opportunities for analysis here. But the first one, these 2 paths here, the model list, model variant list, model variant list. I'd want to actually combine the 2 there, because to me, looking at this process flow here, which are the same, I could actually have either option with the call to action is show all variants, show all models, same thing. And next level down, find out more, configure, could be 2 buttons side by side. Why have duplicate content here? Just have the 2 options there, find out more or configure, if that's what I do, as 2 different buttons on the same page. That to me is one quick change I'd look to make, without having talked to the client, the website, anything else. Next one is the fact that you appear to have 1, process flows happening offsite, and 2, they're duplicates. Free test drive, request a trial, request a test drive. It's the same thing 3 times. So with that, I want to try and develop the process, bring it back onto the actual host website rather than third-party sites, which are possibly slightly out of control and definitely harder to track. And I'd use the same one. I mean, there's one best practice, that one versus this one, whichever one works best, make that a default for every circumstance, because you're trying to get the same end result here. Send through a request for a test drive through to a dealer. Don't get the information 3 ways, get it 1 way. So that's 2 quick changes. On the web agents tracking, I got through that list of pages. We saw earlier a few examples of it. They weren't user-friendly. To me, having user-friendly page naming convention is critical if you want to analyze the data. You must do it as almost step 1. So we've got the visualization map now, and to translate that into a page naming convention shouldn't be too hard. The different parts of the website, that's the first one on the page name, then adding more elements from that point onwards. It's just a translation piece. It becomes much more powerful after that. While there's Dutch and French versions of the website, it's the same pages. I would therefore recommend using the same page name. They can't use the URLs, which have NL or FR in them. Splits out, so you get 2 different versions of each page. Everything else is very difficult. So instead, same page name, separate variable, records that you're viewing it in Dutch or French, or possibly use a translation tool to look at it in a different language again. If there's pages within the process, which there appear to be, where the URL doesn't change, or they're using query parameters, so URL changes, but it's only the query parameters that change, use virtual page views to make sure every page is being tracked, so you actually can see within the process flow where people are dropping out. It's no good knowing they entered, didn't leave the process flow when there's 5 pages within it, which stage of the process was the blocker. make sure that all conversion action completions and all clicks commence a conversion action. So booking the test drive, contacting us, contacting the dealer, requesting a stock check, requesting a quotation, etc. All of these. The click to commence the conversion action and the completion of the action, request received, thank yous, they must all be tracked, and ideally tracked in a way which groups them together. So you can see at a glance how many users completed any of these actions in the past week, how many users or sessions commenced these actions in the past week. That makes life so much easier. And opportunities here, I mean, as I said before, some immediate changes. These are changes which could happen with the right tracking in place. Now, the tracking doesn't look bad at all. Don't know if it's this good. If it is, brilliant. If not, add extra tracking to it. But this is the analysis pieces we're looking to do on that website. First of all, those conversion process flows. All of these here. Like I said, click to start, thing to completion there. Where drop off in the process? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. At what stage you drop off? Make sure you've got either funnels in place or conversion flows, and find the leakage points for every single one of these conversion flows. In fact, don't just identify drop-off points, compare performance, because if that's a free test drive, and that's a free test drive, and that's requesting a test drive, why does that one complete at 50%, that one at 20%, and that one at 80%? What's the difference here? Can we try and take the best practices from one and apply to the other process flows already and learn from that? Next, you got key pages in this visualization. So in here, the model variant showroom details is obviously a key page. So is the model variant configuration tool. Also further down, the car details in the office, no, not office section. This is the in-stock section. You do actually have some car offer key pages as well. And every one of these pages is a different page based on the model variant or the actual car itself. Now with that, we've got a conversion action. Do you click from this page here through to a free test drive or contacting a dealer? Well, if it happens at, if I can get to a page that shows this. If it happens at 15%, those click-throughs to test drive or contacting a dealer for this model variant, why is it only at 5% for that model variant and at 45% for this one here? What's the reason behind that? What can we learn from this? Does it suggest the underperforming model variants need their pages rewritten with better images on them? What can we do to actually get that click to commence rate up consistently across all these key pages? I had a question here coming through. Would you consider creating a dashboard with these metrics related to each step? Definitely. I mean, you're almost starting to actually dig into elements of the visualization map, bring them out to a dashboard. I mean, for me, it's like my merchandise report, e-commerce merchandise report, if you haven't seen that. It's listing out, it's not a dashboard, it's a report. Let's be honest here, a lot more information. But it'll list out every single model variant. And next to each model variant, it will show the number of views, probably for the showroom details and for the configuration details. But also the completion rates, the conversion rates to click to commence conversion and to complete the conversion for each different model variant. Compare and contrast, look at the performing ones at best, underperforming. You're basically creating internal benchmarks here, and that's really powerful. Similarly, the information pages. And I mean, I've gone pretty basic on those ones here. I've got, here's your overview page for finance, individual information pages, fleet benefits, individual pages, the financial profession info pages, and so on through section after section after section. These information pages should be listed out, or at least initially identify what are the key actions from each page and how to perform against these key actions. Can you create something similar for each information page? even saying what the views to reads are of each page, read being based on the scroll down the page or top of the page, something like that, will be informed to see which information pages work best and which ones don't. We do have as well within the website, within the map and the website, a shop section, traditional sort of area, the home page, department pages, product list pages, product pages, the basket, checkout process. I'd bring in a merchandise report, the performance diagnostic report, just looking at the funnel as well for this part of the website. So I had before some initial immediate actions based on just looking at it, prove the tracking, but I've got here a whole set of work to be done with analysis, which could then drive a whole other set of action to improve performance on this website, all based off this visualization map. I wasn't finished. Like I said, this took me about a day to create, which is a long time, but also pretty quickly, given the potential value from this. It probably needs an extra day, really. I mean, I actually noticed it this morning. I actually forgot at the homepage. I got so caught up in the menu, I forgot to actually look on the homepage that there's all these links here. Oops. I need to show you these links where you can get to from the homepage in that visualization map. This first section here, where it's up here, if you can get from the homepage through to that page for a couple of direct links, I want to show that as well. That's a key action. Are people using the navigation or are they using the direct links from the homepage? That'd be good to know. I didn't mention earlier, but can you imagine here as well, if you've got all these page nodes become page types within one variable in Linux tracking, to see the entry points to the website. Is it 10, 50, 80 people actually enter on the homepage? How many people actually enter on this model variant showroom details page? Does anyone at all? Versus the cars in stock section, these car detail pages, versus any information page. How do people actually enter the website? And does it differ for organic search, paid search, social media, your emails that you send out, different channels? That'd be fascinating as well. I didn't map out the path for every direct link from the navigation menu. I didn't even go through the entire page report to identify all the pages that appeared on the website. I actually missed out a whole catalog page or catalog section, just didn't go through it carefully enough. I did this for some of the subdomains, but not for the main domain. That requires more time. This is the extra 10%. That information section, well, it partially depends. Do light analysis. It gets 2% of page views. Don't care about it. It gets 20% of page views. I probably have to expand this section a little bit more detail. The CEO really cares about this. The CEO is getting their bonus based on performance of this information section. That becomes my problem. This section has to be expanded out with a lot more detail. But actually, I was given a list of subdomains, list of pages. Thanks, I worked with that list only. But there are various Volkswagen domains in this list. The ones, that's a catalog price list. There were some somewhere, I swear. Dealer websites, third-party websites. There's at least some, I think, is here. The second-hand cars and the trade-in value. Buying cars online. I think some of these actually were Volkswagen websites. They should ideally be included in this mapping as well. I mean, you'd always want a series of submaps, one for each individual domain and subdomain, and then one master map with everything brought in together. That'd be quite interesting. And that's kind of it from me. So questions. I mean, please ask more questions. Dragos, did I answer your question enough? Let me know if not. I wonder, he says that's a feedback. I appreciate that. Do you now feel more confident, one, in seeing the value of this visualization? You go, actually, I kind of thought it'd be okay to do, but I now say this is now critical. This is my job for this afternoon and possibly next week as well, because I can see so much value in this. Anyone now feel that way? Please say it in the chat. And also, do you now feel more confident in creating a map yourself? Did I give more answers here, how the process to go through? Don't forget the other map previously as well. Please, great sort of feedback to hear if anyone goes, I'm more confident and or I feel I have to do this. Question comes through from Dragos here. Put your hand up if you want to come up on stage. Be a question, could we automate this at all? And it's an interesting question. Can you automate this process? I mean, artificial intelligence, yes. Artificial creativity is what I think is needed here. Some parts of it you could do with the visualization to get elements of it. But at the same time, you're creating a story here as well. And you know what's important and what's not important. Whereas computers, I don't think would have that understanding. With sufficient, if you could plow through 1,000 of these, I think machine learning could really help out. But if you do a quick search for automatically generated website maps and visualizations, you're going to see absolute messes. I had a screenshot once for this. I'd have to try and look for it again. But they get very, very detailed. They actually map out every single navigational path between every page. That's not any value in that. So the automation needs to be able to identify what should be a page node, what should be an individual page, which paths are important, which ones aren't. You may actually have paths which no one is clicking through yet, but actually is an important path. So you need to change your website to make that path happen. The data can't do that for you. There's no data yet at that point in time. So in theory, yes, but in practice, I think it's a way off yet. Happy to be proven wrong though. In the Q&A from David, have you ever had to map a journey within a secure site where you haven't had access to all screens in the journey? How do you go about this? Yeah, have done this. First step, ask for dummy details. Is that possible or not? So yes, you can go through the process yourself because you see so much more when you go through the process. If not for the live site, can you get access to a staging site or a test site? That's been more possible, more likely. Otherwise, I've used my own dummy details. That whole test at test.com gets a big workout and gone through the process myself. It's more annoying and you sort of have to it can be hard if you have to give out personal details or if you have to actually give a car license plate and you actually have a car, you don't have a car yourself. So you lean out the window and look out the window to try and spot a car license plate to use. Done it before. And finally, go back to your WebAnx tool and actually go through the navigation reports and look through the process flow step by step that way. Navigation summary in GA has been used a lot for this, and you're looking for the most common paths, the big numbers. It's not perfect, but it can really help map out some of the paths in these process flows, like a checkout process, what happens next. It can also highlight where people aren't following a common process flow. And you also end up cursing people who just don't have useful page names in place. Please put your hand up and answer the question there, but hopefully that was enough. Charlotte's asked, in a large company, where would this sit? Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm constantly shocked that every company doesn't have this. And yet I have never seen anything which I would consider good enough for any client I've ever worked with, small companies and very big companies. I've seen some wireframes, which are okay, but they're not the same as this. They've got a different purpose behind them. They don't have this detail within them. I've seen some map, they're usually more bare bones than this without this level of detail. Where it should sit, I think, is in anything product management, not the developers. If you've got UX designers, that makes sense. But otherwise, the product managers are the ones actually who own the website, own the process flow, should own this. Possibly you build this for the first time for them because they won't quite get it until you can show it to them. But if you can create a version, even if it's wrong, and say, we need this, I can give the reasons behind it. Obviously, you now use this example. This deck will be shared afterwards, as will the recording from this. Then they should own it. If they want to add in new pages, new features, that your fingers crossed, would go through that product management team. They can then add it into the map before it goes live. This should be a living document, and you should have here's the live version, and here's the live version next week. That's how this should work, ideally. Can you imagine how that would help you out as well as an analyst? If you actually get to see what's coming up in a month's time on the map, to actually add the page names in, to add the tracking in for the actions off that page, it'd be so valuable. All right, we've got 10 minutes left. Charlotte, again, raise your hand if that didn't quite answer the question. You want to discuss it in more detail. Dragos, did you consider having an interactive map with filters for specific journeys, user flows, and to maybe highlight significant positive and negative differences, benchmarks on metrics? You're now speaking my language here. The original blog post for this, if you read through it, I had a paragraph saying, hey, anyone want to invest, actually help me build this properly. I have multiple use cases of this. If I actually ever got funding of 6-7 figure sort of amounts to build this, it starts simple. We actually have a tool designed to help you build these maps with these sort of, with the right shapes, connectors, ways of customizing it. I can't use Glyphy, it's good, but it's got all these extra features. I want just one design for this. I would then tie it in so you could upload a page report and tick the pages off. That's a good starting point. I actually want to use it for analytics tracking. Can you imagine linking this to your SDR for Adobe or your GA setup plan for GA, plus your data layer mapping? So you'd actually consider the tracking in place on the map. I click on this button here, this page node here, and see the tracking for that page, or click on a variable in a spreadsheet and see the pages that variable applies to. Be so good. And then you've got the whole using this as your analytics tool, which I think we're here to getting to show the different numbers appear on this automatically, to drill in for various segments of it, mobile versus desktop, how they compare. The possibilities are endless. I'm guessing, Dragos, you're seeing it as well. If you've got any VC friends, please send them my way. Katia, the recordings, this will be going live either this afternoon or next week, early next week. It's available on the ZHS website in the blog section under weekly workshops. So if you keep out checking out there, you'll see the recordings are in here. That wasn't up to date yet. It's also on YouTube. I'm creating a channel there with this place of all the recordings. You better find them online basically this afternoon or tomorrow. As Anil said, yeah, and then the more you can overlay this with actual metrics and information, I mean, going into a presentation to your management team or to a client with this map in full or partial as part of your presentation, or like multiple slides showing parts of the map with the numbers there, the story you can tell, the way you can see it visually, just get what's going on without looking at reports and data points. To me, that's really powerful. We used it not enough in that way, to be honest, but whenever we use it, it just highlights the point you're making so clearly, so visually. It's incredibly powerful. So yes, it's a good idea. And that's pretty much it at this point in time. Are there any final questions? It appears not. Quick question back to you. I mean, with this, where's my deck there? Across that week here, I might sort of give a bit of a break here, rather than every week, start making every 2 weeks, possibly once a month even after that. But I'm always looking for the suggestions for next week. Here's my 3 suggestions. 1, I've mentioned a few times, the page naming conventions, and I can translate a visualization map to page naming conventions. I can talk through that. 2, I had a blog post recently for e-commerce websites, what I see as a core setup for an e-commerce website, for that part. or not 2, not 3. A blog post of mine from 10 years ago I'm still quite happy with. It's called The Quadfication of Digital Analytics. And it talks through the 4 different levels of reporting/analysis you need for success with analytics. Levels designed for the C-suite down to your data scientists and how that works. It'd be interesting to talk through that again. And Dad, I think, saying the second two, but let me just put down as questions 1, 2, or 3. Please upvote your preferred option. Taking out Neil's one, because I'm assuming he's ticking the other boxes. 10 of you left, please. We've got a couple of votes here. But we're sort of seeing number 2. Cool. So at this point, I'll do the core e-commerce setup probably in 2 weeks' time. But I might then flick onto this quadfication, something a bit different, in a month's time. And with that, thank you all very much. This recording will go live, like I said, this afternoon or early next week. Look on the website to find that, or on do a search. You can find ZHS Orchards on YouTube. You'll find the recordings there as well. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening or day, depending on time zones. A great weekend. Avoid COVID. And if you're Italian or English, best luck on the football Sunday night. And go Ash Barty in the tennis tomorrow. That's the big one. My details are there. Talk to you next time. Thank you and bye.